Hey there, Parenting Outside the Line superstars. I'm super glad you're here today, and I just want to share a message with you about simplicity parenting. It's something that's really near and dear to our hearts because we find that it aligns so well with conscious parenting because so many parents are overwhelmed with their to-do lists and the sheer number of things that they need to do on a day-to-day basis. And so many kids are feeling overwhelmed in their own lives. And so how do we simplify life? How do we ease, the day-to-day of what's going on for ourselves and for our kids so that we can truly thrive in our lives? And so simplicity parenting is this idea of really slowing down the speed of life so that you can be present to what's going on around you so that you're not bogged down in your to-do list and all of the things that society tells us is important, which is basically checking off a to-do list, accomplishing, and going. And the more we can go and the more we can do, the more valuable we are, and the more content we can feel with our lives. And unfortunately, we find that a lot of people are left feeling really discontent when they're living this way. That equation doesn't pan out for them. And so how do we figure out the equation that really works in our own lives? And so I have a few tips that I want to share with you today, just about how to kind of check in with yourself and with what's going on in your life and see where you can make some shifts that might make a really big difference for you. And so the first thing to look at is streamlining your home environment. And so whether that's decluttering your house, or whether that's coming up with a meal plan or a bedtime routine, or wherever like those areas are in your life where they're causing you stress or strain. And it doesn't need to be that way. Sometimes it's a matter of, streamlining the process so that you just don't have to think about it as much, and that can make it easier because we want to spend our thought maybe in other areas where it's more important to us. Or if we're just, reinventing the process night after night and we're just tired of it. If meal planning isn't your favorite thing, then coming up with kind of a routine that you can use over and over without having to really think about it is an amazing blessing to have. So decluttering is another huge one. Sometimes it's a matter of just having too many things in our schedule or in our environment, and what things can we release to allow ourselves the time and space to have more of what we want. And so looking at decluttering from kind of a general sense, definitely decluttering your house so that you have less things to maintain is huge, but also like looking at your calendar and looking just at your mental space. What can you release? What emotions can you release? What are you holding on to that's limiting you being able to be present to what's going on around you? And another thing I just want to hit on briefly is this idea of kids having so many toys, because that is another thing that's an area of a lot of strain for parents and for kids, because it's really overwhelming to a lot of kids. It's a lot for them to clean up and to maintain. And it also is hard for them to stay focused for any length of time because they're so overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices. And I just wonder, what are the long-term implications when we find in studies that, kids who have more toys, they spend less time with each thing. They're kind of buzzing from one thing to the next. So how does this play out in their long-term in their life in terms of their attention span for things in the future? How does that allow them to really dive into their interests and, become immersed in any one thing? Do they have kind of the foundation for that when they're building that foundation, at a young age, having a really kind of overwhelming experience? And just kind of looking at that, because having a lot of things in our environment really does play into kind of the whole development of our mental sphere as well. So the second thing I want to share is this idea of scheduling a break in your schedule and allowing yourself to reclaim, the chunk of the day so that you have space for kind of this mental white space, for reflection time, for sitting down with your cup of coffee and just enjoying it, or for going for a walk or taking a yoga class. Just allowing yourself time to do something that just feels nourishing so you can be present to your life. And if necessary, putting it into your schedule as like a firm thing so that it doesn't just get overridden with your to-do list, because that so easily happens. So how do you make it firm enough that it doesn't just get overwritten? And then the third tip we want to share is this idea of breaking the anticipation habit, because one of the things that people really fall prey to is this idea of the to-do list and always noticing like what's coming up, what's next, and they're never really, celebrating what they've accomplished. They're never really present to where they're at. They're always looking ahead or they're looking behind, like lamenting opportunities that they missed or mistakes that they made. And so just allowing yourself this space to really be present to where you are and notice, what can I take off my plate so that I can have more of this time, more of these moments to just enjoy life. So those are the 3 tips I wanted to share, but the other thing I just want to hit on is we get ingrained in us so much from society that, accomplishing more and doing more is important. That's what's going to make us feel worthwhile at the end of the day. And just wondering, is this true? And noticing the benefits of slowing down. And once we can really see the benefits of slowing down, then we can start to add more value to that and really prioritize it in our lives and in our schedules. And so I just want you to take a moment to consider, and if you have a journal, this is a great thing to just take note of, but take note of the value of slowing down. What gets to happen when you slow down your life? How do relationships and how does life satisfaction change? How do your children's needs shift? And how does it feel when you're moving at a pace where you can better meet them where they're at? And notice how you're doing, because often we're moving so fast we don't check in and see what's really going on within our kids or within ourselves. And then we can get resentment and behavior problems and discontentment and disconnection. So allow yourself and your family time to protect family life, protect childhood, so that it can unfold naturally and gracefully. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Feel free to post it in the Facebook group. Until next time.